But in this life, that should be my goal according to me, which is a very great goal because it will achieve you the same thing. Your mind will become quiet, you know, you will serve the world, you will serve everybody, and that's what they want you to do.
By significance, therefore, the real is that which exists at all times, in the past, the present, and the future. The past is relatively real, it was, it is, and it will be. Now the standard becomes clear. The unreal never is. The real never is not. Objectively spoken, every philosophy becomes, to the practical intelligence of an ordinary man, an elaborate, airy nothingness. But when the same philosophical concept is applied in the subjective world and individually realized, at least at the level of the intellect, it becomes perfectly lucid. When thus this idea of real and the unreal in our philosophy is digested in our subjective understanding with reference to our own life, it will become very clear to us.
So this is another very significant thing he's saying, that you know, we just don't want to learn this philosophy for the sake of, oh, now Brahman is real, everything. No, you think about it now subjectively, and then he's going to explain what it means to us if we think subjectively. Yeah.
The life in our matter envelopments we know is finite, in as much as very little experience at all the three levels of our existence. Among the objects with our sentiments and in the company of our ideas is finite. The body changes at every moment, the mind evolves, and the intellect grows. All changes, evolutionary movements, and growths are indicated by a constant death of their previous state. The life in our matter environments we know is finite, in as much as every little experience at all three levels of our existence, among the objects, with our sentiments, and in the company of our ideas is finite. The body changes at every moment, the mind evolves, and the intellect grows. All changes, evolutionary movements, and growths are indicated by a constant death of their previous state. In order that the thing concerned may change, evolve, or grow, the body, the mind, and the intellect are ever changing in us, and all of them, therefore, according to our definition, cannot be real. But is there a real entity behind it all? In order that change may take place, no doubt, a changeless substratum is necessary. For the waters of the river to flow, a motionless riverbed must exist. Similarly, in order to hold together the millions of experiences at the levels of our body, mind, and intellect, and to give us the experience of a synchronized whole, which we call life, we must necessarily have some substratum, and that is changeless and real, which is common to all three.
So let's stop here, because this is another very important thing he's talking about, that scientific fact that I was telling you. Just 1 second. I forgot to. I know Joe is doing it, but for the habit I started doing it. Okay. So the scientific fact is that for any change to happen, you need unchanging something, substratum. And best examples that because I deal with children, so I have to come up with simple ones. It's like for the car to move, we need a steady road. For the airplane to go, we need a sky. Things like that. Or the river to flow, we need a river bed. So now Bhagwan is saying here that everything changes. So scientifically speaking, we have to have something in us that doesn't change
to realize the change.
Yes, you got it. And then even if you think about ourselves, our subjective experience, I remember my childhood from whatever age. Some people remember from age 2, 5 or whatever. And now until I die, if my memory is doing okay, I'm going to remember. But that sense of I really doesn't get old. When I look at my body, I say, yeah, I have wrinkles, I'm getting old, I'm getting gray hair.
But inside I'm changed.
Yeah, you feel that way, right?
Of course, always.
Yes, that is that I. That doesn't change. We have that experience, for God's sake. You don't even need to go too far. And that's what he's talking about, So for you need some unchanging thing somewhere. So I think I don't need to elaborate. You guys got it. I can tell from your. So anyway, let's go further.
Something in us remains, as it were, unchanged all through our changes, holding the vivid experiences together just as a thread in a garment.
And this particular example he gave in chapter 7. Yeah, it's a same thing. And it's such a beautiful example that if you see the mala, it only keeping it together is the thread. Otherwise there's no mala. You don't have it. And you can't even see the thread. The same way that you cannot see, but it's holding it together. Yes.
On closer analysis, it becomes clear that it can be nothing other than the self in us, the pure awareness. Experiences that have come under one's awareness do not constitute any vital aspect of one's own self. Life is the sum total of experiences that have been devised by the touch of one's illuminating consciousness. In childhood, I was conscious of my childhood life. In my youth, I was conscious of my youthful life. In my old age, I am again conscious of my present experience. The consciousness remaining the same, endless experiences came under it, got illuminated and died away. This awareness by which I become conscious of things in my life, because of which I am considered as alive, without which I will have no more existence in this given embodiment. The spiritual entity, eternal, all-pervading, unborn, undying, and the one changeless factor is the infinite in me, and this Atman is the real self. Men of knowledge and wisdom have known the essence, the meaning and the implication of both these, the self and not self, the real and unreal, which in their mysterious combination constitute the strange phenomena called the world.
So these are very, very important things. And then he's talking, because he was talking about subjectively in us. So then the conclusion is that this awareness in me, and then he also says that we know that that touch of life, you can call it. That's what Swamiji calls it, touch of life in us. That is that consciousness, and without that we are nothing. I mean, the touch of life is gone, then we become dust. How powerful it is, and then he talks about that in chapter 13 when he's going to say that, Kshetra and Kshetragna, then he's going to say there is only one Kshetragna. Because right now I think that my consciousness is different than yours, but at the highest level it's one only. It's like sunlight is the same everywhere, but people do different things in the sunlight. So we can do different things, that's true, but that sunlight is one, the same way Atman is only one. There's one, and then the last paragraph he's talking about it, like what you were saying. Why did he mention? Men of knowledge and wisdom have known the essence, meaning and implication of these, the self and the non-self. Real and unreal, which is the mysterious combination. So this world is just a mixture of, and I think he's going to talk about that mixture in chapter 7 again, that my higher prakriti and lower prakriti, it's a mixture of it, it becomes like this world. And we, in this kind of world also, we see this mixture on a different level, and even the dream world. I am there, and then my mind projects and that becomes a dream. But that without me the dream cannot happen. And I pervade entire dream myself. I only became everything, like tree and this and that and also So, that's another very good example, the dream example. So these are like little deep things, but I think since we have been studying this for so long and all of you have been doing it on your own too. So any other question on this, or we can move forward? So now he's going to go further into what that Brahman is, or what that real that he defined. He's going to define it further to clarify it further and further. Avinashi tu tad viddhi.
Avinashi tu tad viddhi.
Yena sarvamidam tatam.
Yena sarvamidam tatam.
Vinasham avyayasya.
Vinasham avyayasya.
Avyayasya. Vinasham avyayasya.
Vinasham avyayasya.
Na kaschit kartumarhati.
Na kaschit kartumarhati.
So Avinashi is indestructible. Tu is indeed. Tat is that. Viddhi, known. Yena is by whom. Sarvam is all. Idam is this. Tatam is pervaded. Vinasham, destruction. Avyayasyasya. That's the word I'm having difficulty because it's like a tongue twister, no? Avyayasyasya. Now I get it. So avyaya means, Hindi mein ek word hai vyaya. Vyaya means kharcha karna. I don't know if you have heard of the Hindi. हाँ, आपने सुना है ना व्यय. So अव्यय means जिसका खर्चा नहीं हो सकता. Once we break the word, then we can say it. और ये एक और वर्ड है ना व्यवसाय. हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना व्यवसाय.
काम को जो काम करते हैं.
Business.
काम करते हैं ना.
Business.
व्यवसाय.
Profession.
So all these same root is the same. व्यय means खर्चा करना. See, अव्यवसाय means of imperishable, जिसका खर्चा नहीं हो सकता. Na is not, kaschit is anyone, kartum to do, arhati is able. Okay, Meena ji.
Note that to be indestructible by which all this is pervaded. None can cause the destruction of the imperishable. In the last stanza, we were told by the Lord what exactly is the difference between the real and the unreal. According to the definition, if unreal be that which is dying and therefore finite, then to any average intelligent man, life is only full of finite things, and naturally he must fail to understand what exactly is that which is the imperishable, the immutable. The ever real is described here in the strict language of a scientific definition by the Lord for the benefit of Arjuna, an average intelligent man.
Yeah, so there are 2-3 words, just remember those words. Avinashi is indestructible, and pervaded is, yena sarvam idam tatam is meaning that is it is pervaded by everything, so remember that. And then an imperishable, those are 3 words. Okay.
Indestructible, imperishable, and yena sarvam.
Yeah, means pervaded.
The real is that which envelops everything that exists and which is the very stuff and substance of all the worlds of perception which we experience.
So another very significant thing about here is, this is where he says that everything is God, if you think about it. Right? अगर वो बोला कि भगवान सब में है, pervaded, तो मेरे में भी है फिर. तो फिर सभी हो गए ना भगवान. तो किसी को ये, so he's bringing us from, first he said unreal and real, now he's actually telling the deeper Vedanta that, pervaded. So appearance can just come and go, but अगर सब में है वो भगवान, so I'll have to, if I love God, I will have to love the whole world.
It includes
including the
inert and the
inclusion,
yes.
Yes. So even our teacher used to say, people get angry and kick the floor, and don't do that. that's you are essentially kicking God only. So what that keeps us a little bit under check. Be compassionate, and like ant or whatever. We are not saying that become like a paranoid person, but if you see something, have a compassion towards that life or thing or people or anyone. It just makes us better people once we know this. That's all.
The real is that which envelops everything that exists and which is the very stuff and substance of all the worlds of perception which we experience. Different mud pots, each different in form, shape and color, may have different names according to the things they contain or according to the purpose for which they are used. Though each one of them has thus a different name, yet all of them are, we may say, enveloped by or permeated with one and the same stuff, the mud, without which none of the pots can exist. From mud they came, in mud they exist, and when they are destroyed, their names and forms shall merge back to become mud. All the mud pots are enveloped by mud, which is the reality holding the world of mud pots together.
So he gave a beautiful example, right? And then you can see golden ornament, exactly the same thing. Gold pervades everything, or the ocean and the waves. The ocean pervades all the waves. So I think those three examples are brilliant. So now, it has a different dimension, this one.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it as the consciousness and the things. Things are nothing but the consciousness.
Right. At one
But
point he divided, but now he is merging them back
the
together.
two together.
Yes.
Everything.
He had to explain
Individuality
both.
and both.
Yes.
And that's
So that means, like nothing is devoid of God. That's another
There is
way.
nothing there. There is nothing. You cannot say avoid because you cannot.
Yeah, that's just one way of explaining that you cannot take God away from anything.
Yeah.
All God is everything, right? So whichever way you want to take it, किसी का mind इस तरफ से चलता है, किसी का mind इस तरफ से, but conclusion वही आता है.
Similarly, the world of finite changes is entirely permeated through and enveloped by the real, the changeless. And Bhagwan adds that there is no possibility, even for a moment, of this real getting destroyed, even by a fraction. The Lord's declaration, none can cause the destruction of that, is so emphatic and conclusive that Shankara in his commentary says, nobody, not even the Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, can destroy the self, Ishvara-pi.
Ishvaro-api, yeah.
Ishvaro-pi.
That means, I think somebody commented on that he say even God cannot commit suicide. That's something that's undestructible.
Yes.
And it's just always there, and it is hard for us to comprehend that, but the Tattvadarshis are saying that. So we have to just have faith.
So in words, the self and Ishvara is defined. Ishvara is the creator. Creates
If you
the
go
world.
technically, then you can say Ishvara is the
Is
creator, but
and
we are,
therefore you can say even the Ishvara cannot destroy or itself. Can cause a destruction of that.
yeah. When you go very technical, then there is Brahman and Ishvara and Jiva. So
yeah.
here he's just, Ishvara he's using it more like a Brahman here.
Is more like a Brahman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes they interchangeably use the words.
Because that means cannot destroy itself.
Right, it cannot destroy.
Itself.
If it destroys, then we won't be here.
True. Nothing will be there.
What to be destroyed and who to destroy
Yeah.
and what to destroy by whom to destroy. So you have all that.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty deep right
So
now.
we don't have, we should not, like Ishvara, if we are Ishvara, something in us, then we should not commit suicide or do things.
No, there is no need, because it will come and go. And somebody was saying that, okay, the reason people even think of suicide because they think that ये खत्म हुआ तो कुछ सब खत्म हो गया. उस thinking से ही suicide है. नहीं तो फिर कोई बोलेगा कि look at your condition, maybe you have 10 positive things, कल को you will be born somewhere that you will have nothing. Maybe this is where, how do you know? Or people, who like, oh, I want to divorce my spouse. Hey, how do you know next person is going to be somebody? Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect.
They
I'm just
don't
giving
give
an
up here.
example.
People don't give up. That's why
Huh?
they do 5 marriages here.
Huh?
Here they don't give up.
You can look at it that way, whichever way you want. That's another way of interesting way of looking.
Yeah, keep trying.
Keep trying, keep trying.
कहाँ पर तो मिल जाएगा?
But with everything it multiplies.
Yeah.
More from उसके बच्चे मेरे बच्चे हम दोनों के
Oh
बच्चे.
my God, it's so intricate.
Khichdi is like keep
खिचड़ी
getting
हो
more and more
जाती है, खिचड़ी हो
complicated.
जाती है.
Khichdi is getting more complicated. So anyway, I think that even if we get a little bit each time, you know, when our kind of faith gets a little deeper, I think that's good enough, right?
And makes you think a little bit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what's important.
That's what is important.
To look
What
for-
keeps our mind quiet then, you know? कोई makes our mind quiet कि कोई आया
course,
गया
yeah.
कुछ हुआ, anything bad happens, you know. Firstly, know that it's not permanent. So, like if something bad is happening, we get so upset, you know.
But
Or
you do get upset unless you are a saint. Even I have heard saints get the sarap देते हैं. You know, they get also mad.
no, but वो श्राप देने का तो if you go deeper in it, they know extremely well what they are doing. They have been sent there to give the shrap so that something good will happen.
Okay.
If you are watching Devo ke Dev, Mahadev is like Trikaldarshi. He knows everything.
Yeah.
So he said, don't worry, the shrap is going to come, something good going to come out of it. And we know in this world also, at one time you may think a situation was so bad, then after 10 years before then you analyze it, you know, because of that I learned these 5 things. Or I changed my life because of that. Even with some big disease and all that, people completely change their persona, their personality, you know, their health habits. At the lower levels, the health habit change. I started eating healthy now. Other is that all of a sudden I became a loving person.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see the time. Where's the time? Mine is like not showing me the time.
11:53.
Okay, so do you want to go to the Mandukya? Or do one more? What do you prefer? Yeah, it's big. So this was so heavy. Let's just leave it at that because we have